welcome back to March or Die. I'm the Stress Master. I'm joined by a very special guest. Say hello to Stephen Prosser over here. This is going to be the start of a weekly podcast that we're going to try to keep going. This is the very first episode. So I do have my headphones on because of all the way everything is. I have an external microphone, so if I have my speakers on, it's just going to bleed right into the microphone. So since this is our first episode and we're kind of gearing up for DCI, I'm going to take off one ear because otherwise I'm going to talk really, really loud. So what we're going to do is kind of go over some different items today. The first thing we're going to look at is the scores, just kind of see how everybody's doing. Usually on Sundays, there's not a lot of competitions. So there was 4 last night, so we're going to take a look at that. All right, so we go ahead and pull that up. Let's go ahead and start with, we'll start in California. So this is going to be the
why not? That's where we are.
The open cores. So when I saw them at Stanford. I think Gold was at first, and then it was Blue Devils, and then Vanguard. I could be wrong though. It looks like Vanguard has a slight lead here. This is interesting. Someone was talking about this on the threads, how Blue Devils C is beating Impulse. It's because I don't think they have a guard, and that's on the sheets now. And if you don't score anything in the guard caption, so let's take a look. I want to see.
Okay.
Because I thought that was curious. I'm like, how's that even possible?
Hey, those little guys are good.
Yeah, they are good.
We used to see them at the Concord Pavilion every year with freelancers.
Yeah. So color, they got a 0.2. That's why.
Okay. I don't know what's going on there. I haven't seen Impulse.
I haven't either, so I just thought that was interesting. I mean,
and I hadn't seen anything about Columbians until on Facebook yesterday. So that was interesting.
They were so I looked them up because I was curious about that too. They were started by the guys that did Oregon Crusaders.
Nice.
And it looks like they're doing pretty darn well.
It's a great name. I don't know if they know their own history of their name, but the Columbia, and I only know this because I worked at Disneyland and was a sailor on the sailing ship Columbia, and I had to look it up. But the Columbia River was found by the original ship Columbia, and because the captain of the Columbia charted all the coastline and the rivers, which was very important back then as far as having a legal claim to this territory, as we fought kind of back and forth with the Spanish and British.
All right, so let's take a look at drums along the Rockies.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. So this is yesterday, right? Yes, yesterday.
Yep.
I sure am hoping this is recording my screen. It's not hiding our view, because this is really going to suck if it does. But here we got Blue Devils, 85. Wow, over 2.5 points. Mandarins 4 points behind.
Go Mandarins!
I know.
Pick that seriously. Up and go, guys.
I know. I can't remember a time when the freelancers were close. No, that's not true. 91, we were pretty close to them in score, I believe. We were about 6-7 points away at the beginning, and then they just went, you know, and spread it.
Right.
Troopers, I've heard their drum line's amazing. I still haven't seen their show.
Troopers is a corps that, to me, in my mind, it's a historic organization, and the better they do, the happier I am with Drum Corps.
Yeah, they always, for the last few years, they've been doing some pretty innovative stuff. This year, they kind of went back to traditional, but it's still innovative because they have like a electric cello. And it's supposed that the sound quality of at least the part I heard is like really meshed well with the brass, so it has like a very ethereal kind of eerie sound to it. All right, so I'm going to take a look at
the academy is right behind Troopers, right?
Yeah, they're not that far behind. So
I
let's.
I went to the Rose Bowl show and stood behind. I don't understand the horn circles. I feel like I'm an intruder coming to the horn circle because I don't want to break ranks and go sit in the middle or whatever.
Mhm.
But I took some video. I don't know if I can upload that, but it's on my phone of standing behind the baritone lines so I could hear what the mellophones were doing at the academy. And I'm not sure what they were playing when they were warming up. I'd have to send the video, but oh my God. I don't understand their score. I wasn't able to get in to actually watch the show. I've seen little snippets from here and there, and I love it. And I generally love what the Academy's doing. But that mellophone line with what they were playing at that warm up was was good, and it was so good that when they put their horns down, and I think they started to fix and put the rest of their uniform on to go in, I had to walk around the circle and walk through the mellophones and go, that's how that's done. That was amazing.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah,
Hope they were okay with
I don't
that.
think I've watched. I haven't watched their show yet, so I have to get to. I mean, because technically I've seen Mandarins. I'm not going to do Vanguard because I get copyright striked every time I put something of theirs up, so I'm not going to do them. I wanted. I watched Mandarins at Stanford, but I want to get to all of these cores.
Okay.
I'll try to do those next week at some point. But let's take a look at scores. So we got GE 34th. Wow, that's a pretty big spread.
Yeah,
That's a big. Look at that spread. 1.4 or 1.2. Interesting. That's an interesting spread. Huh. Okay. Let's look over at visual.
Well, I mean, wait, go back. Let's look at that again. I mean, we've got 8885, 8582, 173, 167, and then we got 8683. That's a bigger spread. 8481.
Yeah.
With Fouget, and then 17,
That's
64. So I mean, yeah, I mean, and I from seeing them at the Rose Bowl, watching Vanguard, the show's interesting. It's not bad, but I think the Blue Devils have come up with a different, as they tend to do. I don't know. It was just more accessible, maybe, and that's projecting to the crowd and bringing up their GE. I don't know what Santa Clara is really attempting with the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm indifferent about the Vanguard show, to be honest. To me, it's their uniforms don't flatter the drill.
Right.
I think the uniforms are too puffy, kind of like when they did the 19 show when they were wearing those weird like colors and stuff, and they had the weird things on the ground. Would have this huge platforms they were up in with the sousaphones. I don't like the puffy uniforms because it doesn't make the drill look clean, at least in my opinion. But they're still scoring well. But I think they would score better if it was more form fitting and not as flowy. Because then when they're moving, it looks like this, like pillowy. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, it's a valid point. I mean, what you wear, obviously projects into the crowd, and it's going to affect, everything, your movement, and it's going to affect how everything links person to person to create the visual pattern that you're going for. And if the visual pattern is not coming together, you've got to fix that. And if that's fixing the uniform, then that's, what has to be done.
Yeah, there's a lot of corps that are wearing white.
Yeah.
Carolina Crown wears white, but theirs is really they're not wearing all white. They have a purple pant, and then they have kind of, it's almost like an off-white like pattern on the shirt, and it's a little more form-fitting. So when you're seeing them march the drill, it looks clean. At least it looks cleaner to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just a visual thing. All right, let's look.
But it is a visual activity along with the music, so
it's
got to be a little bit crisp and clean, and they're not judging uniformity. This isn't the 1960s or whatever. But the reason that was there obviously was to, if everyone looks the same and everyone's got it going on, then visually, instantly, without much thought about it, it's just better looking.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's funny how they're going to white when there was such an argument 20 years ago when everyone switched to black, and people were like, "Oh, you can see it better." And I'm like, "Are you on crack? You cannot see black on a green field better." No. I mean, go back and watch Santa Clara switch from green pants to white pants. It's like, whoa, night and day. there they are.
Yeah.
And, the people wearing black, typically, in my mind, certain corps in the past were hiding dirt. It was effective,
Yeah.
but the overall visual was not as good.
No, because when we switched to the white pants, Freelancer switched to the white pants in 91, our scores dramatically improved in visual.
Yeah, and we had it going on downstairs. Our feet were
clean.
At some point pretty damn good. I mean, I think we won that category more than once, even when we didn't make top 12. So
okay, so let's continue on with the scores. So visual, that's about right. I mean, Blue Devils visual is really good. They're colorful. I love the colors.
Yeah.
The show I don't understand, and it's a good show. Don't get me wrong, but trying to make it into some high level thing is just it's what it is. It's a good show.
I think there's a certain level of irony happening there.
There might be, and it's nothing against.
I think they're almost pushing the art for art's sake in a humorous way, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but I think they're almost making fun of certain things and then getting scored very high for it, and they're like, okay, we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing against. I mean, I'm a show designer and stuff, so I get it. Like you're trying to do something cool and innovative, but it's like, how would you just say it's a tribute to Blue and how cool Blue is and stuff like that, and that would be cool. That would be fine with me, like a celebration of Blue or something like that. But
well, they're definitely into that. I mean, the core members buy into, if you're not Blue, what are you? And that's great because they take that to the next level. Yeah,
I just never understood the way they explained the concept. So I was kind of like, how does that make sense? But it's a good show. Don't get me wrong. But all right, so let's keep moving along. We're gonna be stuck on Tempest Blue. This is where the scores really start to jump a little bit. Like here's at a 1.5 in brass, and that's a comment. That's something that I noticed when I saw them at Stanford, like the Mandarins specifically. If they could get that caption a little bit better, they would be able to jump up and score, because they didn't have the same impact as Vanguard or Blue Devils did.
Right. And that could be, I don't know who's on staff there, but they're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, they're doing great. Don't get me wrong. It's just that extra, that extra level.
A vastly different core. They're playing with the big boys now, which is great. I'm so glad to see that. So now you got to find the on switch, and you got to find it every time you hit that stadium floor, and the on switch goes on until you're out of the stadium. So, I'd love to see more of that from them.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at the music analysis, they're not that far behind. 0.9.
Not at all. They're right there.
And it's nothing against the brass. They're just in the next realm. They're trying to get into the realm of the Blue Devils, Santa Clara, Carolina Crown, Cavaliers. Those guys, they're like Boston Crusaders. They're trying to get into that echelon. If they can find that magic, then they're there.
Yeah.
Percussion, they're 1.6, but that's okay. I mean, overall, I think they're doing fantastic. Whitewater. All right, see who's here. We got Bluecoats, Blue Stars.
Whitewater.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at
the hottest things I've ever done was Whitewater prelims in '88.
Sevierville, Tennessee. Remember that? Okay, so 17. So 33.9. Okay. I mean, right here, GE, everybody's kind of in the same realm of GE. Bluecoats, Blue Stars, and Phantom. I'm glad Phantom's coming up. They had COVID.
Right.
They had a COVID outbreak, and then they couldn't rehearse for a while. So I'm glad that they're making it back up.
And sometimes that type of adversity is what, it's like seeing an Olympic runner fall down, get up, brush themselves off, and then hit the on switch again. And they catch the pack, they lead the pack, and they end up winning, even though they were so far behind. It was ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's just, and it's going to be a year of that where I think they're already starting to basically say we're going to stay in our own bubbles. We can't have anybody else there, which they need to do. I mean, so it looks like Color Guard is pretty close. Visuals pretty close between Bluecoats and Blue Stars. Blue Stars is coming up. I haven't seen their show either.
Well, I mean, Bluecoats, they almost have straight ones across the board, but there's a couple of spots where they don't, it looked like.
Yeah, right here, color guard.
Yeah. And then if you go back over again, all the way to the right, here we see them dropping into fourth, third, and fourth. So
yeah, Colts. Look at that music percussion. Someone brought that up. That Colts, their percussion is like really good. I'm like, wow, okay, good. You go, Colts.
Exactly. And the Blue Stars, I mean, I wasn't there. It's hard to know, and people focus on very specific things sometimes and they come up with a score and they miss the entirety. But that's just how it goes. You're one individual as a judge. You can't see everything at once or hear everything at once. But they're going to have to get their percussion score up to jump to the next level. However they need to do that, I don't know.
Let's see here. I think we have DCI Memphis. Is it the last one? Yep. We got Crown. I mean, look at that score. Wow.
Yeah.
86.
That's sky high.
In Cadets, which we're going to watch the Cadets show. I have it queued up, ready to go.
All for it.
Yeah. So let's just take a look at the recap. We're going to go really quickly because we're starting to run out of time. Like
there's a lot of ones there for Boston. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, look at Boston. Holy moly. Well, their GE is really good. I think I've seen the show. I don't know if I've done a video to it yet, but color guard. Their color guard's amazing. They're always really good.
Yeah.
Cadets 16-3.
Well, I mean, look who's there. Look who's teaching them. Look where they came from. I think it's Keith Potter. He's doing a fantastic job. He was in the color guard in 92 at Cadets, and I think 93 as well. I don't know how many years. Sorry, Keith. But I mean, look at some of the shows they've been putting forth over the last decade. They've been fantastic. They've been, really pushing excellence. And they've got the right people to do it. We've got the right core members, obviously, to do it. And so here we are. They're in the hunt. And that's fantastic. And I think overall, if you look back at history of drum corps, it's about time. It's about time that Boston really just shown up on the scene.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. So, way to go, Boston. Let's see.
Yeah. I think they might be in the hunt.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, look at these scores. I mean, percussion.
Well, it's
16-7.
July 17th. Happy birthday to Disneyland. And they've got an 85-7.
I know. I mean, that's amazing.
If any one of us had an 85-7, at this date back in the early 90s, late 80s, we'd have been like, holy crap, we're sitting in the catbird seat. Who's going to knock us off? Forget about it.
Exactly. Let's take a look at rankings. Since kind of this, so the rankings are kind of like,
right.
They're just a kind of a guesstimate. Average of last three, and this is the most recent score, and you can see that Crown scored higher, but they're not competing head to head, so you can't really say that. Right. But this just kind of gives you an idea. So Blue Devils, Carolina Crown, so Boston's all three. Look at that. Look at that top three.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think it's safe to say that historically, coming out of the West Coast, the Blue Devils and whoever else, their scores tend to be a little bit high. And then when they finally reach head-to-head competition, everything starts
levels
to
out
a little bit.
Yeah. Cadets in 6th, that's awesome. Look at that. Bluecoats, Blue Stars, Mandarins in 8th. Phantom Regiment. At one point in the rankings, they were in 13th.
Yeah.
So they're pushing up. So good for them.
I've seen Cadets as high as 5, and keep going, Cadets. Keep pushing.
We still have a few more weeks. And Cavaliers. I'm surprised about this. So I'm wondering if maybe they haven't competed in a while.
Well, I don't
think they have, because I saw their show and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, they had a good show. So I only saw them on
oh, gotcha.
At the theater, but I liked what I saw. I liked what I heard. I thought the uniforms were interesting, but they have a good show. So why they're sitting in 13th at the moment,
I bet you it's just because they haven't performed. They haven't performed probably in a while. So. All right, so let's go ahead and since we have the screen share up, I'm just going to leave it up. Let me grab the cadet show.
Nice salute. Love it. I don't know about the wave, but I do like how the core is being
22 program,
more accessible.
Rear View Mirror, inspired by the road travels of Jack Kerouac, Drum Corps International is proud to present.
I like all the visuals on the field. Very, very cool. It's like a full stage set.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to crank it a little bit.
Suitcases were piled on the sidewalk again. I'd traveled 8,000 miles, found myself on Times Square. Right in the middle of rush hour, too.
I mean, that's like suicide drill right there.
City.
Cadet symbols. That was a little like you hear those mellows?
Bridges, look
Yeah.
up all my poet friends. People think we're showing off. They say, "Oh, look at the beatniks."
That was nicely done.
Nice little groove. I think I'm going to move us. We're kind of like in the way. We're kind of in the way. That's all right.
Well, it's a typical cadet show, no matter where you try to hide.
Yep.
I rode on the bus in the weird phosphorescent void of the Lincoln Tunnel. Nothing behind me, everything ahead of me, as is ever so. On the road.
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
I saw that
Both
my
types
life was a
of
vast, glowing, empty page.
You
and I
definitely
could
still hear
look
the
at my
cadet
life.
mellophone runs.
Oh yeah. What breakage is the joy?
York City.
Nice form.
Oh,
Yeah,
Love
nice
it.
form. I can't wait to see this
Let's
live.
go hit the jazz joints and forget about it. The 5 spot on 5th and Bowery sometimes features the monk on the piano. It's darkly lit, weird waiters, good music always. Coltrane showers his rough notes all over the place.
wow, that happened fast.
That's an interesting sound. I almost can't hear it.
Where the only truth is music. Blow, man, blow.
Nice sound there.
Oh yeah.
What's kind of nice jazz moment here.
Yeah. Nicely done. See. Nice.
Yeah, nice blend there. Snares are laying it down.
Good lord.
Yeah.
Uproars of music.
I was gonna say that the guard is blending in with the core, and then as soon as they took the jackets off, you can see a good contrast now.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Ah.
Oh.
What is that feeling when you're driving away from people? They recede on the plain, their specks dispersing.
Interesting. It's almost like a shirt.
Yeah.
It's just with the cadet on there.
Right.
Interesting.
Giant mists. My witness is
I'm loving
the
this show.
empty sky.
It's cool.
Oh, look at that.
I think everybody forgets how good cadet jazz. You know what I mean? We're so used to hearing like classical and stuff, and
Right.
but they can play jazz.
A purity so intense, it takes a city man a double take to understand what he is seeing and smelling and hearing.
I'd like to be
from
hearing them
birds.
play there. I know they're running and doing the stuff, but it would still be awesome to hear at least a third of the corps playing something in the backfield there.
Yeah.
They seem to be blending their mic horns a little bit better than some of the other corps. Still, I don't even know how to do it.
I think a lot of corps are starting to do that. They have sound engineers that engineer the whole thing.
Right.
You know.
But it's a different sound. It's a different timbre. We're never going to get past that.
It's the too huge world. It's goodbye, crazy venture beneath the skies. You have to leave it all in the rear view mirror.
Are they doing an E7 block?
I'm not sure. Obviously comes to mind. Love to be sitting in the stands right there.
They're heading west.
Yeah. Well done, Sabres.
Yeah. Guards are really, really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I like all the contrasts of the sets and stuff. Very well thought out.
I was halfway across America, the dividing line between the east of my youth and the west of my future.
Here we go.
Ooh, nice rifles. A lot of visuals going on. A lot of body. Very well done.
Oh! That was visually stunning. That was awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
And the drumline is just kicking it. I love it.
Yeah, the drumline's really knocking it out.
I enjoyed a few musical passages being snuck in there from the past.
A lot of corps are kind of doing that. Putting little things in there. Next trumpets. Nice.
Nicely done. There you go.
Oh yeah, tubas. Wow. I always think it's I'll save this comment, but they always put the shortest person on the end of a form. Always, it always ends up that way. I know I do it when I'm writing drill. I inadvertently do that.
Just happens sometimes.
I'm like, sorry, just gotta run.
Get there. That was amazing. I mean, did you see that? Oh, unbelievable.
We gotta go. And never stop going till we get there, man.
That was cool. Pretty darn clean, man. Nice.
Way to push to the end. Good sustain.
Yeah, very good.
Denise Configlio and Ron Lambert from Allentown, Pennsylvania, the Cadets.
All right. All right. Let's talk.
Yeah, that is a cadet show. I mean,
Yep.
you know, you can look back to the past and talk about any corps, and they don't always have a quintessential ownership of their show. You know, sometimes you're like, yeah, that's a good show, but it's not the Blue Devils, or that's a, you know, whatever. That is a good show. That is a cadet show. They're having some problems visually. They're having some interval issues.
But that's normal.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, sure. There's some breakage going on when you have one form that then connects to the next form. You know, when does it stop being its individual form, and when does it, you know, when does that one or two members that need to come across and join the other form, you know, when do they break?
Yeah.
You know, all those things need to be addressed. And there's a little bit of what we used to call kind of telegraphing where you're going next.
Yep. The lean.
Finish the form. Make sure you're vertical, you finish the form, and then you move to the next one.
Yeah.
It's going to make it visually pop better. You're going to have to work on your physical stamina, your strength from your waist down. You're going to have to do that every day, all day long until the end. I'm sure they know this, but you know, these are things I'm seeing now. These are things that we had to deal with in '92. And by the end, we were, I mean, just absolutely solid. You could have walked up and punched me in the thigh or the gut, you know, while I was performing, and I would have been like, you know, we were just solid as a rock. So these kids will get there. Keep working the physicalness in the morning, keep working out throughout the day. Whatever it is you need to do, get it done so that you do finish each form, each section. You know, don't worry about your dot so much as the form. Because nobody in the stands knows what the hell your dot's supposed to be anyway, but they know when you're either in or out of the form.
Yeah.
And, you know, just adjust as you go, and you have to perform and achieve each individual movement and to get to each point on the field. And there's a lot of people in the back of you know, lines, and the lines are vertical. So, the crowd can look right down them. And there's a lot of people not quite getting to the vertical line.
Yeah.
And then they're bursting over to the next line a little too early. So, don't break the form, keep it solid. Don't kind of lean and then throw yourself towards the next move. Finish it, stay vertical, stay, upright, and just haul ass. And it's going to be awesome. That show, if they can finish it up, if they can fine tune it, it's going to be a show that goes down into, a little check mark of, yes, that was the cadets. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
And I think, I think they've got the right mix of people on the field. I know there are several members marching right now who are children of people that I marched with. And that's fantastic. I'm pretty sure there's a mellophone player out there whose mother I marched with, and she was a rookie in '92. And, within several years of being a rookie, she was the absolute star mellophone soloist and just kicked the entire show off with kicking in the door. Now her daughter's out there, and it's just like, go.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Go. It's fantastic to see the legacy. It's fantastic to see that she's able to be in a cadet show.
Exactly.
And something we're going to look back at, years from now and go, that was a show that I want to watch. That's a cadet show. You can look back of what's been, put in that folder already. And, there's shows that weren't judged very highly, like the 89 Les Mis show, but good God, were those the cadets,
Exactly. And I think that's just kind of like, it's kind of like the formula for cadets. I remember in '89 we were at, in the Meadowlands Stadium.
Yeah.
And I actually went and watched them rehearse, and they were just hitting each other, falling over, because their drill was so difficult.
Yeah.
And they don't work a lot on technique. I don't think they do that but in the back in the day, they really didn't focus a lot on technique. It's just like learn the show, and then we'll figure out the technique as we go. And they do basics and stuff, but the drill is so hard and so fast and so intricate. People are just colliding and falling, and it's just
to prioritize.
It's kind of like the progression. It's just I think they're actually really, really good. I mean, we still got 4 weeks before they're in great shape. I don't see any reason why they're not going to be up there as normal, but they sound, it's kind of hard to hear the sound.
Yeah.
So live is going to be different, but
I think they're having the same issue we did. We had very, very low volume, very, very good, intricate, technical players, very good musicality, but we had no volume for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
And then the mellophones just kicked it into gear, and we started going, we're holding back. And we have way too many horns to hold back. So, euphoniums, baritones, contras, you guys are going to have to kick it into high gear now. And I think that's what I'm hearing. It's hard to know, from the mics and what's coming across now. But I hear a lot of certain sound, and I don't hear a lot of, foundational bass. And, it's just like what I teach the kids now and what we were taught, low brass, you got to be that giant foundation of a pyramid. It's got to be thick enough and tall enough to hold the weight on top. And if you're not bringing it, they're just sticking out, and the sound's upside down. So, if I can, low brass, you're going to have to start really kicking it up a notch. And I know it's coming, and I know you're working on it, but keep focusing, keep pushing.
Yeah.
Provide the mellows and sopranos the proper thick bass to set their sound on top. And that's going to push the sound, not just the quality of sound, but the volume and just utter in your face wall of sound. It'll come. Keep pushing, keep doing what you need to do individually, sit-ups, push-ups, crunches, whatever you need to do to get your physical stamina up to par. Keep doing what you're doing, and help each other. And I think that's going to be a cadet show, and I think they're going to enter the zone of being in the hunt.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I noticed is they actually stage the instruments pretty darn well. I've actually, a couple corps, I'm not really a fan of how they staged their tubas.
Yeah.
I think Crown had theirs all the way in the back right, and then behind the percussion at the end. I'm like, you can't even hear them. What's the point of it? Why even have the tubas out there? And it's just all synth.
Right.
And maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Nothing against the Carolina Crown. I love you guys. But it's just.
Go Leon.
It's just, why would you stage tubas in the back corner? You can't hear them. They're a low instrument. You have to have them closer to the front. You need to have them intermixed properly with the low brass in order to hear the sound. Otherwise, it's just a waste to have tubas out there.
Sometimes there's staging errors. Sometimes there's problems with the drill, and they'll fix it.
Yeah,
because they're in the crowd. You know, Clash and Leon and those guys, they're up in the stands. They're hearing what's reaching them. They'll sort it out. And, you know, you don't want to make gigantic changes in the drill if you can avoid it. But, you know, if we can't hear the players, it kind of, you know, what's the point at some point?
And I think the cadets did that really well. You could they had a tuba feature. The tubas were always around the low brass where they needed to be.
Right.
And once again, it's nothing against any other corps.
But what I'm thinking is
just why do that?
They came up and they did the tuba feature. The contras are kicking butt. And I'm like, okay, guys, now you need to go back into the show and make the entire thing a tuba feature where you lay the proper foundation for the rest of the sound, because that's all you. And obviously from the feature, they've got it. They can do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'll come.
Yeah. And it's always hard to hear on here because you're not hearing the live mix.
Right.
You're not hearing. And that's another thing. I've noticed, and I noticed this with the California groups. Now we're starting to get into the zone of we're mixing our show live.
Yeah.
And we're missing the live component.
Right.
I'm not hearing like I was like at Stanford. I was like there was impact, there was a volume, but there was not like we used to have. Like, oh my God, my eyeballs are gonna like be burned out of my sockets, because the sound is just so intense. And I get why, because you have everybody mic'd, you have pit mic'd, you have to balance the whole ensemble. You can't have the brass play too much because then they're going to overpower the pit. But now it's getting kind of, I don't like the word homogenized, but it's getting kind of like soft, I guess is the right word. Soft.
They're having problems blending it.
Yeah, that's blend. There you go.
You know, it's not gelling. Like even in the cadet show we just watched, we got a couple of members that are mic'd, and because their sound's coming through the mic, it doesn't actually, in my mind, fit with the rest of the brass sound. And I know there's this ongoing war, you know, whatever, however you want to, you know, I don't think I'm an old fogey yelling, "Get off my lawn," but you know, at the same time, the brass has to gel. It has to be one unit. And if the mics are getting in the way, then get rid of the damn mics, because the kids know what they're doing. You can hear they know what they're doing. Yeah. You can hear the mellophones kicking the crap out of those runs.
Yeah.
And if the mics are getting in the way of that, then get rid of the mics. I don't think the baritone and the mellophone duet needed them at all. And all it did was change the timbre of the sound.
Yeah.
And, you know, if that's a sound you're going for, you want something kind of tinny and sticking out for whatever reason, well, you got it. If you're trying to blend the sound and bring the volume, then, you know, I don't know if it's up to the sound engineer to dampen the mics or deepen, you know, the sound quality electronically. You know, but at that point, you know, the old fogey in me goes, "You're cheating." You know, let the brass go. Let them play. Take the reins off. Take the, you know, whatever restraining bolts. How about that? Let's jump into that.
Yeah, I didn't really get the impression the cadets were using a lot of the sound engineering compared to some other groups I've heard, where it's like you can hear, you can totally hear it's like controlled, and so they are, I think, letting them go a little bit, but but you're trying to balance the pit, your soloists, and your brass.
Right.
So I'm sure there is some holding back, because you can't have the brass overplay the pit, you know. So I mean, I get the whole hierarchy thing and the whole balance thing and the blend thing, but I think it's becoming too processed.
But it's not working for the open field and the open, you know, stadium.
And I'm wondering, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I was just thinking, I'm wondering if they're probably also thinking about the acoustics at finals.
That was my next statement. Yeah.
Because that stadium is very echoey.
Yeah.
Every recording I've ever heard is just echoes like crazy. So unless you're going into the mics and pushing out from the mics, you're going to get a really reverberated sound. So maybe that's kind of what they're.
I don't know. I would, and I'm not a sound engineer, but I got pretty good ears.
Yeah.
I would think that what's happening now and the issues they're having now are going to be exacerbated in the dome.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't know if they're going to know until they get there. So maybe they need to do some scouting and send some people ahead and work on stuff. I don't know. But what I know now is like you said, some of the groups, they're not getting it done. That sound is not right. It's not meshed. It's not a good sound. It's distracting. And I don't think, when you have a show, especially if it's completely, on the artsy end of things, the last thing you want is something distracting the audience, because you need to pull the audience in and you need them to buy in as much as the members have. And I think the members are doing a fantastic job. I haven't heard a brass line yet that I just kind of go, sorry, that's just not cutting it.
Yeah, it's
They're
really
playing well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that since they're on B flats now, it's a little bit easier because you're playing B flats at your schools or your colleges or whatever. To me, I think they're quieter and it's harder to get them to play louder.
Yeah.
But I get why. And
my school horn was a piece of crap compared to the 2-valve silver bugle by King I was handed when I first showed up at Freelancers. The sound production, the quality, everything from that horn was better. And there were times where I took it home and used it on the field or used it in parades, and I just had to transpose, what I was playing. But the sound quality was better. I could push the air better. It was a much more comfortable horn to play. So, we can argue G versus B flat all day back and forth. All we care about on this end is the sound. What puts us back into the seat and what really achieves, that wall of just, goosebumps from toenail to the end of my hair.
Exactly.
And some of the cores are getting it done with B flat and some of them aren't. And, it's one of those things we'll never know. And they can call us dinosaurs or whatever you want. But when a corps like the Cadets or the Blue Devils finally brings the sound generation that we want in mid-August, when they finally arrive at finals and push you back into the seat, if they're doing it on B flat, you got to wonder what the hell would be happening on G. Would it be better? I think so. I think it would be a lot better, with a much more open sound. And then I think it's easier to blend from soprano to contra, all being, in G. I don't know. It's one of those things. We'll never know. But I think the argument, I think it's a good argument, and I think it should be brought up. And I think a lot of the people shutting it down do so because they just don't want to try. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, I also think it's an availability issue now because nobody makes G.
Well, yeah, they would if they bought them. They would if they used them.
Yeah, and then Can still went out of business.
That was sad.
Yeah, and they were the primary G bugle maker in the 90s, right? And 2000s. Now they're gone. Yeah, I don't think the debate's ever going to end, especially old people like us who want to hear G. But if you go back and listen to something from the 80s or 90s,
right,
or went to B flat, you're going to hear a dramatic difference. But it's also, there's a lot more electronics now where like we said earlier, you have to back them down a little bit so the blend is better.
Yes.
For the venue, which is championships, which is in a dome, which has reverberation. So I'm sure that's part of the equation. They're going, well, we want to play louder, but we have to be blended, and we can't be too loud because in that stadium it does this. And they probably had sound engineers like for the last 10 years, and they're just figuring out the sound, and now they're engineering it.
Right.
But
maybe it's time to pick a new venue for finals.
Maybe outdoors.
Yeah.
Where you can play louder.
Yeah. And I know the weather sucks, and I know when it rains, it sucks. And I know, but there's quite a few years where drum corps pulled it off quite well. I mean, it got really cold all of a sudden, finals night in 92.
Yeah.
You can't control that stuff. And I think that's going to happen even indoors, but this is a sound sport. This is around the sound. The color guard is fantastic. They're elegant. They're getting it done. The GE that they help bring is great, but they're performing to the sound they're hearing. They're performing to the music. I think the music has to be the number one thing.
And I think I'm on, drum corps coffee shop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just like, oh, this isn't what drum corps is, and da 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 da. But you know what? But they said that when the 80s rolled around and all the stuff from the 70s went away.
You say that, but I don't know that. As a member who marched in the late 80s and early 90s, I don't remember guys in white beards coming up going, that's not drum corps, but whatever. What I do remember is I was a center of the horn arc. So when we pulled it in to sing our corps song before the show, I was usually up front. For some reason, getting safety pinned into my uniform was a little late one night in Ohio at the US Open. And I think it was the first show that we were head to head with the Blue Devils. And so I ended up on the very back echelon of the coil as we brought it in to sing the corps song. And, I put my hand up on the shoulder of the person next to me and we sang the song. And as the song started, I felt people grabbing me. And I was like, well, I can see the whole corps from where I'm at, side to side and in front of me. Who the hell's touching me, but I was in the moment, sang the corps song. And the second the corps song was over, I'm like, who was that? And I'm seeing guys wearing, Garfield jackets from the 50s and 60s running to get back to their seats before we could take the field. And, they had white hair, white beards, and they were sobbing. They were just absolutely crying because they ran up to us and sang the corps song with us. And I could hear them singing behind me, which is why it was confusing to me. I'm like, who are these guys? Because I can see everyone I march with every day in front of me.
Yeah.
And, I never heard one of those guys go, I don't know what you're doing. It's not drum corps, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
I think they loved what we did. I think they saw that we were cadets like they were cadets. And I don't think a lot of the Blue Devils are going, you're not Blue Devils, but I'm here to,
Yeah, I think there's more of a divide now.
I don't know.
I think there's more of a divide now than there was when we marched.
Yeah.
But because of the electronics, because of the shows are getting more and more theatrical and stage-like. And marching, people use the word marching band a lot. It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it's cyclical. So like it's going in a cycle. So because in the 90s, all the marching bands wanted to be like drum corps. They were doing lots of drum corps stuff. They would actually do their shows and they would, try to be like drum corps. And then it kind of in 2000s, once we started going to B flat, then it kind of started flipping again. And then they started taking stuff from bands and putting it on the field too. You know what? I don't care. As long as it's a great show, I don't care what it is.
Yeah, as long as I show up and you blow my face off, I'm going to be happy.
I don't care.
But if the electronics and that hum and the reverb and whatever else, if that detracts from the show, then the fact is it's detracting from the show.
Yeah.
And you need to fix it. Like we used to fix drill and we used to fix musical passages that weren't working. We used to fix things as we went. Sometimes we had to tear entire parts of the show down and rebuild it while we were on tour. And I think, how stubborn are you going to be if something's not working, but you stick with it anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a difference between band and corps. And that's the reason why we went to corps is we were okay with band. I liked my marching band. I liked what we were doing. It was a little old school as far as some of the charts we were playing and whatever. And we had arguments there. But when I went to corps, it was something different. I liked the difference. I liked what we were able to do and the artistry and the performance we were able to achieve. And it is different. And I think there's some problems that are happening that people are just turning a blind eye to when they're trying to make one like the other. It's not the other. I don't think it's ever going to be that.
No.
And it's great that the kids are buying in and going, you're a dinosaur, you don't know what you're talking about. But the fact is we do know what we're talking about. A lot of us do because we did this at a very high level. and we can still do it at a very high level as far as, certain things are concerned.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you've missed any of the other previous videos, make sure you go back. It's going to be up in the corner here somewhere. Usually tag it right at the end of the video somewhere. I don't remember which side. I think it's that side. I can't remember. Somewhere up there. But go make sure you watch them. I'm going to try to get to all the other 2022 shows. But there is also a catalog of my previous stuff that I've been re-uploading, so catch that. Also look forward, I'm going to be this guy right here. I did an interview with him last year about the 1992 cadets. So I will be putting that up probably after DCI finals, but we'll see. Because I kind of want to get to all the shows for this year, and then we'll start going back in retro everything. But thank you guys for joining us. See you guys on the next video. Until then, march on.
March or die.
March or die.
Holy